your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin yang, come along.
Welcome along to Indiana Sports Beat. Jim Coyle, how are you doing? I appreciate you joining us. Thanks a lot for taking us along. Wherever you're going, whatever you may be doing, we appreciate you taking Indiana Sports Beat along for the ride. Justin Kalen high atop the crew chief's box.
That's right.
Hope your day's off to a good start. Then hopefully we can try to make it a little bit better. Lots going on and get to. Before we get to that, let's get to the headlines.
All right, here are your headlines for this Tuesday, January 8th, brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry. Top 4 in the AP College Basketball Top 25 is unchanged, as Duke and Michigan, Tennessee, and Virginia are now followed by Gonzaga in that 5 spot. Indiana down 1 spot to number 22. Speaking of IU, Romeo Langford named the Big Ten Freshman of the Week for the 3rd time this season. Indiana women's basketball finally enters the top 25 at number 25. And Clemson defeats Alabama 44-16 in the College Football National Championship. Those are your headlines for this January 8th.
Well, all righty then. Cut a little short there, didn't you? Enjoying yourself.
I forgot right in the middle. Don't worry about it.
Forgot the start, forgot the middle. Good Lord, what's going on?
I stayed up too late watching that game. My gosh, why do they make those championships so late?
So they can get a few more viewers on the West Coast.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a lot worth watching in the second half, to be honest with you, as Clemson annihilates the vaunted Alabama Roll Tide. I wanted to say that first. I was going to say, Roll Tide. Oh, too soon. Too soon. Wow. Joker hitting it up on the text line already.
Come on.
Damn, that quarterback for Clemson has a cannon for an arm.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, and he was playing in high school last year. That top receiver for them was playing in high school last year. Their top 2 running backs, they're coming back. 3 other top 4 receivers, they're coming back. Guess what? I hope you're not sick of Clemson because they're not going anywhere.
No.
They're not going anywhere.
Oh, and that was something I heard last night during the game. At one point, they were saying Nick Saban and Dabo Swinney expect their teams to be better next year, which is a scary thing.
Tua's going to be back.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So how we're not going to have a 5th consecutive Clemson-Alabama clash, I'm not sure about that.
I thought last night was going to be one for the ages the way it started out. That first quarter was exciting.
For the ages.
Yeah, and then they just
Holy
stalled.
moly.
I thought it was going to be a hell of a game.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a really high-scoring game, and it was for Clemson.
They were on pace for 140 after the first quarter.
Yeah, well, Clemson sure knocked down 44 points on that was the biggest halftime deficit ever under Nick Saban. They gave up as many points in the first half as they have all year in a game, save maybe the Citadel. You know, I was really, really, really wanting someone to ask Quinion Williams if he had ever played a quarterback the caliber of, was it Trevor Lawrence?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not as good as Calamari. And that's worth hearing again. I'm going to have to pull that up. We're going to pull that up one more time. I got to hear that one last time.
Calamari one.
Calamari. No, I have not played a quarterback the caliber of Calamari. But I don't think Calamari's up. No, I'm good. I mean, that's I watch that video. I just
quarterback that
and then,
slightly resembles Kyler Murray.
No, I don't feel like I have going against a quarterback slightly resembling Kyler Murray, but I feel like Kyler Murray is not where everybody.
What's that?
No, I'm good.
How that dude stopped what he was saying in mid-sentence. It's boy, Nick Saban just went, zit! From wherever he was. He wasn't even in the area, but I mean, it was like someone zapped his tongue. Zap! Nah, I'm good. They kept showing him last night, and that's all I kept thinking about.
He's playmaker.
I just wanted to ask him if you ever played against a quarterback the caliber of Trevor Lawrence. That's what I wanted to ask. Alabama loses by 28 for the first time since 1998.
My gosh.
Booty kicking, baby. Biggest loss in 12 seasons for Saban. Got beat by a better team. Certainly got beat by a better team. I mean, they just got it handed to them. Clemson, whoo, son. They're so big on that front line.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
That defensive line is it's an NFL team.
Offensive line, too, is huge.
It's crazy. Romeo Langford, freshman of the week of the Big Ten. We're going to hear from Archie today. We'll also hear from Terry Moran. Terry Moran. Women's coach, Indiana basketball. They are now ranked for the fifth time in school history. Coming in at number 25. After starting 14-1 and knocking off number 15 Michigan State, they finally get a little love. Unbelievable.
Crazy it took that long.
Yeah, it's a little. And they're still not giving them much. Just sliding them in at number 25, a little test run, which the other last couple times they were ranked, I think that was 1 week. And that may be the case this time because they have to go on the road to face a very good Ohio State team, I think, Thursday. But they'll be around. They're good. I can't wait to take in some of their games.
60% of their top 25 appearances have been under head coach Moran.
Yep. Mike Schumann on the program today from the Daily Hoosier. And Chronic Hoosier's back. We've had a hiatus, man. All the holidays, Christmas, and New Year's, we're back on schedule. We'll hear from Archie Miller as well. Plenty to get to. Hit us up on the text line, 812-269-6367. Like Joker did. Let us know what you may be thinking. The AP polls out. Indiana just dropped 1 spot after that loss to Michigan, which is appropriate. I was a little surprised, wondering if they would be idiotic, but they weren't. Now, several of the Big Ten teams dropped out, as I knew that they would, because they were all sitting there parked in that 20 to 25 spot, and they all lost at least once. So, a couple of those, but it's just going to be a constant rotation. There are 10 teams from the Big Ten receiving votes. 10. How about that?
Four of them in the poll now.
Yeah, 4 was 7. Now it's 4, but it's going to be a constant rotation.
I agree. I mean, they're going to continue to, just like every year, Big Ten will beat up on each other, game in and game out.
I'll tell you who's not ranked, and I'm surprised right now, and they may be after this week. It depends on how the game goes, is Maryland.
Yeah.
Maryland's a good team.
They did get 14 votes this week, so I think that's more than they've got all year. They're getting there.
Well, I guess people just didn't want to vote for another Big Ten team.
3 Big Ten teams, by the way, dropped from the rankings.
Duke sitting at number 1. Michigan from the Big Ten sitting right there, number 2. Tennessee in the 3rd spot. Virginia, Gonzaga. Then you got another Big Ten team in Michigan State. So Big Ten's got 2 in the top 6. And then when the net rank, I can't wait till the net rankings come out. That's the thing that matters. These polls, this is just for fans. You got Ohio State at number 16. Undefeated Houston, number 17. Kelvin Sampson running that squad. Kentucky's at 18. Buffalo at 19. Iowa State jumps in. And here's what aggravates me. They do this again. They did the same damn thing last week. Arizona State beats Kansas. Unranked Arizona State. What do? Oh, let's run them up there. Number real big, number 17. We got to hurry up and get them in there.
Yeah.
Oh, God, they must be great. Holy smokes. What'd they do? They lost to some Ivy League school the next game. Out they go.
It's worth noting Arizona State only got one vote this week to even be in the poll.
And see, that's what aggravates me. They win one game and boom, we got to have them in there. They're great. Oh, man, we've been missing a boat. You lost to who? Oh, I'm sorry, you must go. Now they're gone. But what do? The latest flavor of the week. Whoever beats Kansas gets ranked. Hey, everybody, you get ranks, you get a rank, and you get a rank. Iowa State, the latest, jumping in from unranked to number 20, which I think is hilarious. They weren't worth being ranked at all, but all of a sudden, well, oh my God, you got to be great. Marquette 21, Indiana 22, Oklahoma 23. St. John's jumps in after their big upset win. Who'd they beat? I forget. They beat somebody.
It was an undefeated team.
It was a biggie. Virginia?
Nope. Oh, man, that really is going to bother me.
Yeah, Virginia Tech. Not Nevada. Nevada lost to somebody. They were undefeated. They only dropped to 10th. But
St. John's beat Marquette. That's right.
oh, yeah.
By 20.
Yeah, they hammered them and held Marcus Howard, their leading scorer, to 8 points. Yeah. Marquette's sitting right in front of Indiana right now at 21. Ironically, a team in Indiana also drilled by about 20, which is funny. Same record, yet Marquette has been and is ranked higher.
I think if you've got two 20-plus losses, you're not allowed to be in the top 25. Unless it's by the number 1 through 5 teams in the country.
I'd say you got to be struggling there toward the bottom, yeah, at least.
But Marquette seems like they're firmly in. They haven't hardly budged.
You're right. Wisconsin sitting outside the top 25, Iowa, Minnesota, Purdue, Nebraska, Maryland, all in a row. All right, so basically, if TCU is the 25th ranked team, you go down to others receiving votes, 26 is Villanova. Then, starting at 27, Wisconsin, Iowa, Minnesota, Purdue, Nebraska, Maryland.
That's 6 in a row.
Basically, the Big Ten Conference. Holy smokes. That's just crazy. That is nuts. So basically, the top 30 is a third, almost a third of the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Nuts. We got a lot coming up, like I said. Chronic Hoosiers on the program today. Mike Schumann from the Daily Hoosier will be along. We're going to get talking about some Indiana basketball and college football playoffs. Playoffs? Playoffs? Roll Tide. Too soon? We'll be back with more Indiana Sports Beat right after this.
When you change with every new day, still I'm gonna miss you.
This is Jim Coyle. When I'm not on the road covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 on the northeast side of I-65 at Veterans Parkway in Clarksville. Bring the team in for that post-win meal in the family dining area or just meet friends for a happy hour. Bubba's has bold burgers, hand-tossed pizzas, mouth-watering wings, and a list of select local craft brewers for the coldest beer in town. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Burgers, pizza, beer.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
If you're a homeowner and have storm damage to your roof, you want a hometown contractor you can count on and trust. Brooks Roofing of New Albany has been doing quality work since 2006. Check out their work for yourself at brooksroofingin.com. No job is too big or too small, commercial or residential. Brooks Roofing is probably working in your neighborhood right now. Visit brooksroofingin.com or call 812-868-ROOF. That's 812-868-ROOF. Brooks Roofing, the protection you need when nature strikes.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, you want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
If you want to get your day off to a good start, then stop at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. While you're filling your gas tank, you could fill your own tank with a hot breakfast or try one of Billy Joe's daily lunch special. Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart opens at 5 a.m. and everything is made fresh daily. And if you bring your own mug, coffee is only 50 cents. And Billy Joe's also has free air. The best place to start your day is at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs.
If you want the most comprehensive coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers, you need Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. Join us each Monday through Friday for interviews with the players and playmakers. Weekly guests like Don Fisher, Terry Hutchins, and Chronic Hoosier. We've got live reports from each game. No one gives you better coverage of Indiana athletics. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle is available on iTunes and Google Play. You can follow us on Facebook or at indianasportsbeat.com. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. We don't miss a beat. Today's guest is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville with hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer. Pizza, burgers, beer. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat here on this Monday. Thanks a lot for joining us. As always, we get to talk to the great voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fisher. Don, how are you, sir?
Good, Jim. How are you?
Great. Big day for Indiana yesterday as they try to go up to Ann Arbor and take on the number 2 team in the country, a matchup that was just going to be tough, period. But it was one that just ended up being too much for them with all the injuries they've got.
Well, really, in truth, in this ball game, and the injuries certainly play a factor, but the biggest story in this ball game is, again, Indiana getting off to that awful start that they have in so many ball games of late. Literally, I think the last 8 or 9 ball games now, Indiana has gotten behind early in these contests, and they have a flurry of either turnovers or missed shots, not being able to run the offense, whatever the case may be in that regard. But they find themselves in a hole that they have to dig out of. And yesterday, they got into a 19-point hole in the first half that they simply could not dig out of. It was very reminiscent of the Duke ball game in which they got in such a deep bind in the first half and had no chance of coming back. In this contest, they had a chance to come back and actually did. Unfortunately, they just could not get through that hump, so to speak, when they got it down. I think 7 was as close as they got in the second half, but they could get no closer. Michigan was able to hold them off. But I think, honestly, the poor start in this ball game, a lot of it had to do with the fact that they got in early foul trouble with both Romeo and Juwan Morgan. Those two guys are Indiana's two best players. There's just no question about that. And they both got into early foul trouble that forced Archie Miller to take them out initially and then, substitute them in offensive, defensive opportunities while he could throughout the rest of the first half. And they never really got into more foul trouble in the first half of the ball game, but they weren't playing out there on a consistent basis either. And it just made everything so haphazard in the way Indiana went about playing in this contest. And you're down 15 at halftime against the number 2 team in the country. It is going to be almost impossible to come back, and that's pretty much what we saw.
Yeah, and afterwards, looking at this, statistically speaking, they didn't play a bad game. They shot 43%, which is 7-8 points below their average, but they only turned the ball over 7 times. I know that's a low for the season. That may be a low for the Archie Miller era. So they take care of the ball, but yet when you're playing on the road in the Big Ten and against the number 2 team in the country, you've got to be at your absolute best.
Right, and I don't know if this team understands how important it is to get off to a good start no matter who you're playing. And honestly, when you've got an issue like this, it's hard to understand why these guys come out and struggle at the beginning of ball games. We know that they practice really well. And Archie is very confident in what he's teaching these guys and how they go about their business, except for this problem. And it's been ongoing. I mean, literally in the prior to this ball game, I think in the 8 previous wins that they have had, they got behind in every one of those games. And we're talking about not just against the good teams. We're talking about the teams that are just okay teams. Yeah. UC Davis, Northwestern, Penn State, Louisville, Butler, Central Arkansas, Jacksonville, Illinois, and now Michigan. All of these games, they got behind. And they got behind significantly in 2 or 3 of those. The Penn State game, the Louisville game, the Illinois ball game, and the Butler game. So, I mean... to put yourself in that kind of a hole, you're just inviting trouble. And Bob Knight once said the most important part of every basketball game are the first 5 minutes of each half, because it sets the tone for the rest of the contest, or at least for the rest of the half. And in each of these games, Indiana has gotten behind early. They found ways to come back in all of those ball games. Unfortunately, they have not been able to overcome the 2 best teams that they have played because they started out so poorly, Duke and now Michigan.
Yeah, and it's got to be difficult. They're not getting a lot of production off the bench yesterday. They get 0 bench points yesterday, too, and that didn't help them much at all.
Yeah, there's no question. And that's the other thing, and I addressed it to Archie after the ball game about, maybe, trying to find that third guy, so to speak, that can come up and knock down shots or be a major factor offensively. And he, of course, said, well, we've been doing that by committee, and that's probably not going to change. So, and there's no doubt they have been doing it by committee, but it's been very often that the bench has not provided much. And part of that, too, is because of the injuries. Obviously, this team has just been besieged by injuries throughout the season. Yesterday, they're without Deron Davis again, and Rob Finney, as everybody knows, has been out with a concussion protocol now for, 4 ball games. So we've had this issue that's been ongoing with injuries as well. And that definitely hurts this basketball team. At one point before the season began, I think we thought this was going to be one of the deepest Indiana teams in history. Yes. And I thought that a few years ago, too. We had the same issue a few years ago. I can't remember what year it was, but about 3 years ago, we thought it was going to be a pretty deep team. And that's certainly not the case. In fact, I can tell you when it was. It was when Cody Zeller and Victor Oladipo and those guys were in their junior and sophomore seasons, that the year that Indiana was expected to maybe even make it to the Final Four, and that team was besieged by injuries, if you remember. Derek Elliston was going to be a pivotal factor in that team, and obviously never came to fruition because of the knee injury that he was dealing with. And there were two other guys in that team that were hurt throughout much of that season that would have been big factors. So there's no doubt that those injuries play a role in why this Indiana basketball team is not playing up to its expectations at this point. But at the same time, I know that they're a better ball club and they're more capable of starting games earlier and better than they have here recently. That's going to be a big issue as they go forward because, let's face it, they have a brutal schedule here in the month of January and early February.
They do, and they're actually in the midst of part of that brutal schedule right now because it doesn't get any easier. They do get the week off, but what's waiting for them at the end of that week is a trip to Maryland, another team that is a very good team. They may not be ranked right now, but they should be probably. They're a very good team. Yeah, there's just no question about that. And they're young. And yet they're playing really good basketball, and they've got some problems inside that Indiana's going to have to deal with. And it's going to be a test. There's just no question about that this coming Friday. So Indiana's got a mandatory day off here, I think. I don't know if it's going to be today or not, but they have to take a mandatory day off. But they've got a lot of work to do to get ready for Maryland on the road this coming Friday. And if you lose that ball game, now you got a little bit of a negative string going here, and that's the last thing you want to have happen, especially in a stretch where you're playing some of your toughest matchups of the season. Yeah, because all these games are going to go into their NCAA resume toward the end of the year, which that's off to the end of the season, of course. But you still have to look at it. Think about where you're going to be. I think this is a team that's definitely in that 5-seed area right now. But they've got a lot of tough games in front of them. The Big Ten season is really just getting started. No, there's no question about that. And it's going to be a grind. And you're going to have to fight through it mentally as well as physically. And the physical part is not as difficult as the mental part, in my opinion, because every time if you've got to go out and play 6 of your 8 ball games on the road in this stretch, and against most of the really good teams in this league, you're going to have to be mentally tough. And I think this team has got to find a way to understand how important it is to get off to a good start. That first 5 minutes of the ball game, whether it's the first 5 of each half or not, I still think the first 5 minutes of each of these contests has been Indiana's undoing, even though they've been able to come back and win most of the contests that they've gotten behind in. You can't do it against the best teams. You can't fall behind by 19 points, 15 down at halftime, and expect to come back and win that game against one of the better teams in the country, which is what Indiana put itself that kind of hole yesterday. So, this is, as much as anything, it's not just physical, it's a mental scenario that they're dealing with. Yeah, and I know it's driving Coach Archie Miller crazy because getting into those holes just makes his job that much more difficult as the game progresses. And in the old days, under, say, Coach Knight or someone, I could see an instance where he would just empty the floor and bring in 5 new guys to send a message. But Archie doesn't have that kind of firepower on the bench right now. No, he really doesn't. And Cliff Moore was the guy that they brought in yesterday. He's been getting better in practice and those kinds of things, and yet was no factor in the contest. I still think Justin Smith is one of those people that has to come along and become more of a factor offensively. He's been really playing good defense of late. He's been doing a good job on the boards as well. He's gotten much better at that. Yesterday, of course, again, he led Indiana in rebounding with 9 and continues to grow in those areas. But his offense has kind of taken a back seat now, and really he's not been much of a factor from an offensive perspective, not like you expect him to be. So he's a guy, I think, that could step up and really become a factor in that regard. We know that Al Durham has made a lot of progress this year as far as improving his game, but he isn't his kid. He's not a wow factor type guy. And I'm not saying that there is that guy available at this juncture, but they as a committee can do it, and they've got to get better at picking up the pieces when your big guys get into big time trouble, like they did yesterday with the foul problems early in the ball game. Those things are things that are affecting this basketball team, and honestly, they've got to get Rob Finney back. There's no question about that. I think Devontae played a terrific game yesterday from just a floor general standpoint. He did a really nice job in that contest of taking care of the basketball, trying to get it where it needed to go. But unfortunately, he can't do it all the time. And let's face it, Finney has proven that his ability out there to calm things down, to do the right thing,
and make sure he runs the offense properly, and then how good he's been defensively. All those things factor in, and obviously this team needs all hands on deck, and right now that's not the case.
Absolutely, and missing that smooth, calming influence of Rob Phinisee. Don, thank you so much. We greatly appreciate you joining us here each week.
Yep, I appreciate you having me. No question about that, and we'll look forward to Friday and maybe get this thing turned around again.
And then tonight you guys are back with the Coaches Show, right?
We do. We're back on the air. We've only got 2 coaches shows in the month of January. We haven't had a coaches show since December 17th, so we've had kind of a hiatus here, and we're going to have another one after the show tonight. But then after that, July 20 or January 28th, I think we start consecutive shows for the rest of the season.
Sounds good. We look forward to it, Don. Thank you, sir.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. Don Fisher, the voice of the Indiana Hoosiers, joins us here each week. Look forward to that. Brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer. So we're always glad to have Don along with us. We've got a lot of more to come. Chronic Hoosiers on the show today. Mike Schumann as well. Stay tuned. We got plenty more coming back right here on Indiana Sports Beat. This is Jim Poyle. When I'm not on the road covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 on the northeast side of I-65 at Veterans Parkway in Clarksville. Bring the team in for that post-win meal in the family dining area or just meet friends for a happy hour. Bubba's has bold burgers, hand-tossed pizzas, mouth-watering wings, and a list of select local craft brewers for the coldest beer in town. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Burgers, pizza, beer.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
If you're a homeowner and have storm damage to your roof, you want a hometown contractor you can count on and trust. Brooks Roofing of New Albany has been doing quality work since 2006. Check out their work for yourself at brooksroofingin.com. No job is too big or too small, commercial or residential. Brooks Roofing is probably working in your neighborhood right now. Visit brooksroofingin.com or call 812-868-ROOF. That's 812-868-ROOF. Brooks Roofing, the protection you need when nature strikes.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, you want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
If you want to get your day off to a good start, then stop at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. While you're filling your gas tank, you could fill your own tank with a hot breakfast or try one of Billy Joe's daily lunch special. Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart opens at 5 a.m. and everything is made fresh daily. And if you bring your own mug, coffee is only 50 cents. And Billy Joe's also has free air. The best place to start your day is at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs.
If you want the most comprehensive coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers, you need Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. Join us each Monday through Friday for interviews with the players and playmakers. Weekly guests like Don Fisher, Terry Hutchins, and Chronic Hoosier. We've got live reports from each game. No one gives you better coverage of Indiana athletics. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle is available on iTunes and Google Play. You can follow us on Facebook or at indianasportsbeat.com. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. We don't miss a beat. This hour of Indiana Sports Beat is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. With hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat. Jim Coyle sitting in with you. Hope your day is going well. Justin Kalen high top the crew chief's box.
That's right.
Former Arizona assistant Emmanuel Book Richardson, who is facing federal bribery charges as part of the FBI's investigation into college basketball corruption, has reached a plea agreement with federal prosecutors, his attorney told ESPN on Monday. Richardson and two other former assistants, USC's Tony Bland and Oklahoma State's Lamont Evans, were accused of accepting bribes to steer players towards certain financial advisors and business managers once they turned pro. As that continues, but he has reached a plea deal. Last week, Bland pleaded guilty to conspiracy, commit bribery, and admitted acceptance of $4,100 to steer players. He's scheduled for sentencing April 2nd. Likely will not be jailed. Been on probation. Richardson's facing 18 to 24 months in prison. As that continues, that saga continues.
So that's part of the FBI? The whole FBI thing?
Oh, yeah.
But that's the NC.
This guy, I think this is the assistant. He was an assistant at Arizona, right?
Was that the FBI acting or was that the NCAA?
No, this is the NCAA is doing nothing.
Not yet, yeah. They want to say they are, but to this point.
They've openly said, I know we normally do nothing, but we're really going to do nothing until after this year's over. We don't want to try to affect this year's tournament. We understand that we may have to punish teams. Here's what they're saying without saying it. We understand we're going to have to punish some teams, and it might affect the NCAA tournament. So we're going to put that off as far as we can. We're not going to do anything at all this year.
Do it in the summer when it affects nobody.
Louisville, go ahead. You're good to go. Arizona, you're good to go. Kansas, you're good to go. Go on with it. You're good. Don't worry about it. Then they'll get to it next year. Then next year, Muppet Mark Emmert of the NCAA. Oh, maybe they all forgot about it. Hey, guys, just keep on going like nothing happened. We'll just keep doing like we've always done. We get away with it.
Might as well.
What they do. NCAA's gotten away with it forever doing nothing, and then when they do something, they do it idiotic. And speaking of idiotic and in that very, very light, have you paid attention to what is going on with the women's basketball case in Alabama?
Saw a little bit of it yesterday.
Let's see. Trying to find that up. I can't remember the girl's name. Anyway, so this girl, she's a senior at the moment, played for USA Basketball.
Maori Davenport.
There you go. Played for the United States of America. Well, lo and behold, USA Basketball, because of all the stuff they have to go through, they sometimes give them a stipend to cover some stuff. They sent them a check for $857.20. Turns out, it's a violation. They returned it. No harm, no foul, right? Oh, not so fast, my friend. This old dude, Steve Stavarizi, whatever his stupid name is, he's the man that makes all the decisions because Jay Billis took up the cause. And Jay Billis called this dude. And the guy basically said, "Yeah, no, I make all the decisions. It's me. I make it." And he was in the beginning of the conversation. He had said he was very nice. Then all of a sudden, when Jay started asking him questions, he got defensive. His tone changed. Long story short, the young lady has been ruled ineligible for her entire senior year because of this. Because not only that, USA Basketball went to the, not trial, but whatever you call it, well, they're having the case to appear on her behalf, did nothing to sway these jackasses. They still suspended her for the entire year. This is crazy train. And now they came out with a statement yesterday trying to say, hey, we're not at fault. It's USA Basketball. They did this. Dude, they didn't do it on purpose.
Right.
That's what's cracking me up. The mother, she's a certified athletic coach. She's an elementary school teacher who volunteers as a coach and had to be trained in like first aid or something. But she says, I know nothing about amateur rules. I'm a volunteer. Instead of this, these guys are just becoming more asshats by the day. They look worse every time they open their mouth. Instead of saying, you know what, I think we may have overreacted here and probably made a mistake. No, now they're going to go on the other way. They're like, oh, hell no. Y'all ain't going to call us into question how we do things down here in Alabama.
Oh, the funny thing is,
this is our tradition, culture and tradition. That's what they usually say when they do something stupid in the South. It's our culture and tradition.
The funny thing is, Severese is scheduled to be inducted into the Alabama Sports Hall of Fame this April as an administrator.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that. Well, this is not going to end well, I don't think. I don't think it's going to go away either. And the fact that ESPN has picked it up, Jay Billis has picked it up. Jay Billis is an attorney by trade, by the way. He's no dummy. And this moron, they just said, they sent that statement out yesterday, trying to blame everybody but themselves because they look like asshats. They look more like asshats now. Trying to blame the mother, trying to blame USA Basketball, which, yeah, they all made mistakes, but it was all a mistake. They didn't know. It was not a big deal. And once someone found out, boom.
Oh, and it was all rectified, too. And that's the thing.
All rectified.
She gave the money back.
This is not 2 years. This is not after she graduated. This is before the season. Boom. Oh, yeah, let's give that back. So we didn't know. It came from USA Basketball. It came from the country that I played for. She won a gold medal for the U.S. That's standard for these athletes. It has nothing to do with her high school. That is a joke. This is not a paycheck. It's a reimbursement. There's a difference.
I guess when you're an amateur athlete, you can't get any sort of money, whether it's a reimbursement or not.
No, that's not true. That is not true. But that's the thing. That's not the truth. And that's the issue with these idiots in Alabama, because this is our tradition and culture to be stupid. Idiots. Bunch of idiots.
Either way, I feel terrible for the little girl.
Yeah, she's a
I mean, if she's playing USA Basketball, she's probably pretty damn good. So
obviously, she's a Rutgers recruit. She's going to Rutgers. There's been a lot of people pick up the cause. A lot of athletes, NBA players, coaches.
Well, and the sad
college
thing now,
basketball coaches.
Sad thing is now we're already a third of the way through the season. So even if they were to go back and reverse their decision, she's still not getting to play her whole full senior season, which is real sad.
Well, that's just ridiculous, is what it is.
And ridiculous.
It is ridiculously stupid. Oh well, that's their problem, but that's idiotic. It's just stupid. Bill texted in, did I see the tweet yesterday by Rob Finney's dad? Sounds like he is back now. I did not, but I expect him to be back for the Maryland game. So that should be good news. Now that's not been said. That's just me guessing That's just me guessing. I expect him. I think that he'll be back by the Maryland game.
Hopefully.
Oh,
They need him.
absolutely, hopefully. Absolutely.
That's a tough game, with or without Rob.
Oh, well, hell yeah. Absolutely it is. Maryland's a good team.
Yeah.
Very good team. They're a top 25 team. I got news for you. And it's on the road. And I don't know that Indiana has their issues rectified yet. Getting Rob Finney back will certainly help immensely. I mean, Devontae Green, bless him, he's trying. He's not a point guard. I think he forgets to try to be a point guard when he's on the floor. He thinks more about scoring.
Yeah.
And scoring is not the job of a point guard. The job of a point guard is to assist others in scoring. He seems to look more to develop his own shot than someone else's. And I don't think he's met a shot he doesn't like.
Well, I don't know. I've just never really seen, and I know there was all this talk before the season started. If it's not Rob Finney, it's going to be Devontae Green as point guard.
That was not because he's so good at it, just because there's nobody else.
I've never seen really Devontae Green as a point guard. To me, he's a two guard. I mean, with especially the way he likes to shoot, he doesn't pass it a whole lot.
He's a very good two guard either.
Well, I didn't say he was a good two guard, but
it's kind of like he's stuck in between.
Yeah, tweener.
Yeah, he's not a true two, but he's not a point guard. That's why Archie was working so desperately to get that other point guard in DJ Carton and trying to land another point guard. Now you see why. Because there is only one. And he didn't know Rob would be ready.
Right.
And he's not completely ready. I mean, it would be great if he was learning under someone right now. That would be the optimum scenario for the team and for Rob. But he's having to learn under fire, and he's doing a hell of a job. They need him back.
And I think it's worth noting that when Armand Franklin comes in next year, Rob will have that whole year of experience of learning at this level to pass that on to Armand. So, I mean, you would think that the point guard game next season would be loads better, but we'll see. It still doesn't fix this year's issues.
Franklin played the point?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, but getting him back is going to be a huge, huge boost for them. And if they can get Deron Davis back, I mean, there's two guys, a starter and a sixth man, seventh man, not getting to play. You know, and I was thinking about this. There's not having Jerome Hunter, not having Race Thompson, no competition for Justin Smith.
Sure.
Who's Justin Smith competing with for his starting job?
Right.
Who's competing against him who's competing to take his minutes away? Who's pushing him in practice to make him play better because he fears he won't play in the games? Nobody. There is nobody. Clifton Moore? No. Nothing against Clifton Moore. He's just young and learning. But he's not to the level. He's not capable of pushing Justin Smith yet. Jerome Hunter? Ooh, that's a different beast. Race Thompson probably would have made a huge difference. Not only would those guys be playing, but they would be pushing each other to get better. That's another thing that has been lost in this, the level of competition every day. They're not playing against what they normally would be playing against. So they're not getting quite as improving. They're not improving as quite as much as they could if they had the full complement of players due to the injuries.
I think that's a fair point. And I mean, that coming into the season, that's kind of what you expected. Going into practice, you thought you'd be real competitive, guys fighting for jobs. This injury situation.
Yeah, it's an unusual deal. Indiana's just been beset by injuries this year, and hopefully that goes away at some point.
Yeah.
Are we ever going to see Race Thompson? I mean, here we've got Rob Finney just going through concussion protocol and probably going to be making it back in an amount of time that is that you would expect. But Race Thompson still missing in action.
Yeah, and it's concerning. I mean, it's been, 3 months now?
It's been a long time.
We still haven't seen him? There's something else going on. It doesn't take 3 months for
He's
a
on the
concussion.
bench at the games.
And that's an improvement because for a while there he didn't go to the games.
Right, the lights and all that, noise and the lights. Couldn't deal with all that.
And I want to see him come off the bench, go to the scorer's table.
That would be
check
nice.
in.
Wearing a uniform to start with would
right.
be good, besides sweats. That would be a great start. But, it makes a huge difference when you don't have the guys you need.
Yeah.
It changes so much. Archie was so pissed after that Michigan game. I watched that press conference again. He was just pissed.
Yeah. Oh, and I could tell. I go through every day after his press conferences, and I'll write down the answers, the times of the answers, and he usually goes a minute and a half, 2 minutes, sometimes even closer to 3 on a lot of his answers. They were all 30 seconds yesterday, 30 to 45 seconds. Very clearly mad.
Need to hear a little bit of Archie.
All right. I've got Archie talking about getting more guys involved. Figure we'll start there since that's what we were just talking about. I mean, you've got to have those guys like the Clifton Moores and the Reese Thompsons and the
Demezy Anderson.
Fitzner.
What happened to Fitzner? Fitzner, career 42% three-point shooter. And outside of a game or so early in the season against nobody, what's he done?
Nothing.
Dude, hit a shot. That's your job. Just hit some three-point shots.
All right, so let's take a listen to Archie.
See some guys do some different things. I think we got to get Evan Fitzner going again. Much more aggressive early in the game. We got to get him more windows. Demezy Anderson, I think, to me, has to start to see some early opportunities in the first half if he's going to find a way in a game at some point in time where he's not, nervous or shaky. He's got to start to get in there a little bit. And I think with our depth problems right now, we can fire as many guys in there as we can. With Duran's health right now, Clifton got a chance to get in there yesterday a little bit and mix it up, and hopefully we'll get some guys back and become even deeper. But without question, our bench has got to come in the game, and to me, those guys got to be feeling confident. And, Zach obviously is battling his back injury right now, so he's practicing, 50, 60% of the time. So he's not as sharp or same physically, I don't think, as he was. Hopefully he'll continue to start to get stronger and get better in that area. And in his role, what he's done for us all the time is obviously the winning plays. And I thought the Illinois game, he made some real winning plays for us. And then, we have to find a way, obviously, to get some offense out of our benches, too, when they come in the game. And, I think part of that is, hopefully Robert will start to feel a little bit better here. Hopefully we can get Duran back a little bit. Those two guys obviously would help the cause. And then, we'll see how the rest of the guys continue to sort of hold up. But if we can get a little luck here, coming up, get a couple guys back, that'll help our depth and bench.
And pretty much exactly what we were talking about. They're doing well. They're playing well. They're the number 2 shooting team in the country. But that's because they're so effective around the rim. It's not because they're a good shooting team. Now, if that were to improve, they'd be a top 5 team. That's what keeps them from being a top 5 team. That's it. They're really good. They've got talent.
There was one thing in that answer, though, from Archie that really kind of struck a chord with me. He was talking about Clifton Moore and how Duran Davis was out, so Clifton Moore got to come in and play a little bit more. That tells me that Clifton Moore is not the guy pushing Justin Smith in practice.
He's not. That's my whole point. Right. That's exactly what I'm saying. There is nobody to push him.
Right. So
he mentioned Demezy Anderson needs to get in there. Well, he can't get in there if he's not put in the game.
Right. It's your job, Coach.
Well, I kind of didn't understand that statement there. I was just a little confused. He said that he needs to get in there and start doing something so he's not nervous. Well, you got to put him in. If he's not playing, he can't get in. So I don't understand that thought process. But, yeah, they need to be developing the bench because in this last game, the bench provided 0 production. They're not getting time. You're not seeing Demezy on the court. Clifton's not there, even though this is his second season. So they're still not there talent-wise, to be honest with you. Archie's still recruiting, trying to get the players in that he needs. He's still going. He's still cycling through players to get to the guys that he's his guys. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that matters. I think it matters a lot.
Archie was also asked about recruiting and in-season recruiting when it comes to him and his assistant coaches and just how difficult that is. Let's take a listen.
It's tough. All of our coaches, I prefer all of our coaches to be at practice. If they have to miss practice for a game, that coach probably isn't involved as much in that scout or what may not, so those guys can see that. Me personally, January and February is tough, but you have to find ways to get out on whether in between your days. And Indiana's tough. That's the one thing about Indiana. They play on Fridays and Saturdays, and typically, Friday night games usually where you go see a guy play. Sometimes we're playing Friday at Maryland. And Saturday, we got to come back and get ready for Nebraska on Monday. But we're out all week long. We only have so many days, obviously, we can use, and we only have so many opportunities you can see certain kids. But we really try to do a good job of getting out during the year. So when you're out there in the March and the Aprils, you have a good feel for the younger classes and whatnot. And we've been out quite a bit this year.
That was Archie Miller. We got a lot more coming back on the show today. Chronic Hoosiers with us, as is Mike Schumann from the Daily Hoosier. Stay tuned. Plenty more coming back here on Indiana Sports Beat right after this. This is Jim Foyle. When I'm not on the road covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 on the northeast side of I-65 at Veterans Parkway in Clarksville. Bring the team in for that post-win meal in the family dining area or just meet friends for happy hour. Bubba's has bold burgers, hand-tossed pizzas, mouth-watering wings, and a list of select local craft brewers for the coldest beer in town. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Burgers, pizza, beer.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
If you're a homeowner and have storm damage to your roof, you want a hometown contractor you can count on and trust. Brooks Roofing of New Albany has been doing quality work since 2006. Check out their work for yourself at brooksroofingin.com. No job is too big or too small, commercial or residential. Brooks Roofing is probably working in your neighborhood right now. Visit brooksroofingin.com or call 812-868-ROOF. That's 812-868-ROOF. Brooks Roofing, the protection you need when nature strikes.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
If you want to get your day off to a good start, then stop at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. While you're filling your gas tank, you could fill your own tank with a hot breakfast or try one of Billy Joe's daily lunch special. Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart opens at 5 a.m. and everything is made fresh daily. And if you bring your own mug, coffee is only 50 cents. And Billy Joe's also has free air. The best place to start your day is at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs.
If you want the most comprehensive coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers, you need Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. Join us each Monday through Friday for interviews with the players and playmakers. Weekly guests like Don Fisher, Terry Hutchins, and Chronic Hoosier. We've got live reports from each game. No one gives you better coverage of Indiana athletics. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle is available on iTunes and Google Play. You can follow us on Facebook or at indianasportsbeat.com. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. We don't miss a beat.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin yang, come along.
Well, welcome along. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle joins you now. Thanks a lot for taking us along wherever you're going, whatever you may be doing. We appreciate you taking us along for the ride. Hope you're doing well and your day's off to a great start. Got Justin Kalen high atop the Crew Chiefs box for you.
That's right.
A lot going on today. Chronic Hoosiers on the show. Mike Schumann will be here with us as well. Lots to talk about. College football playoffs wrapped up. Roll Tide. Too soon. We'll hear from Archie Miller. Terry Morin, the Indiana women's team, ranked for the fifth time in school history. Lots to get to. Before we do that, let's get to the headlines.
All right, let's do it. Let's get to your headlines for this January 8th, 2019. Top 4 of the AP College Basketball Top 25 unchanged, as Duke, Michigan, Tennessee, and Virginia are now followed by Gonzaga in the 5 spot. Indiana down 1 spot to number 22. Speaking of IU, Romeo named Big Ten Freshman of the Week for the 3rd time this season. Indiana women's basketball finally enters the top 25. As Jim said, they enter at number 25, and Clemson defeats Alabama 44-16 in the College Football National Championship. Those are your headlines for this January 8th, 2019.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, lots going on. Alabama smoked turkey. Man, Clemson just wiped the field with them. Trevor Lawrence and company. Freshman, I might add. True freshman, I might add. Just destroyed Nick Saban's defense. I mean, they embarrassed him. 44-16.
I saw a tweet about Trevor Lawrence last night. It said he is now the best at his job and a high-paying job that he has to do for the next 2 years without getting paid.
Well, without getting paid, but he's being compensated.
He's being compensated, yeah.
Through education, through tutelage, through development.
Just trying to ruffle the feathers a little bit.
Oh, no, I hear you. No. He's getting plenty. But this kid here, star in the making.
Yeah.
This is a kid that could go straight to the NFL, but does that mean he could play? No. But it cracks me up when I see a lot of people, Romeo needs another year. Romeo needs another year. Hey, Romeo's going to stay 2 years. He needs another year. Really? What's he need another year?
You need him to need another year.
Exactly. That's all that is. That's what cracks me up. Oh, he's not as good as he could be. But you think that he'll get better here than at the professional level, where he does nothing but that, day in, day out.
And not to waste BS time with school.
Getting paid for it. With more accomplished coaches, more accomplished trainers, more accomplished talent around him. That wouldn't make him better? Yeah. Yeah, that's what cracks me up. Oh, he needs another year. No, he's not as good as he could be. Of course not. He's still learning. But if you think he can't learn better at the professional level, you're nuts.
I could see Trevor Lawrence being in that same boat.
Trevor Lawrence, he's special. This dude was playing high school football last year. High school! and now he just led Clemson to the national championship against Nick Saban in Alabama like he was playing in Pop Warner football.
Did you happen to see his high school stats when they flashed the graphic on the screen last night?
Didn't he throw for 800,000 yards?
Almost 14,000 yards.
161 touchdown passes?
That's insane.
Or touchdowns? You only get 4 years in high school. So chop it up however you want. That's a lot.
Yeah. And the 2020 championship odds actually came out. Clemson 9-5, Alabama 5-2. Guy says he would list the rest of the teams, but they don't matter.
Pretty much true. Because that badass at quarterback for Clemson, Trevor Lawrence, he's a freshman.
Yep.
True freshman.
He'll be back.
He's back. Their top 2 running backs, they're back. 3 out of their top 4 receivers, they back. You know that they got a whole new line just ready to move up. If any of them happen to be seniors, you just stick another one in their place.
Just like that.
Tua, he's back for his 3rd and final year.
And then once he's gone, his little brother will be
right
there.
Steps right in. Speaking of Alabama, have you seen the case of the jackasses at the Alabama High School Athletic Association? The young lady, what was her name?
Maori Davenport.
Played for USA Basketball, played for the United States of America, played for the country, won a gold medal for the United States, and is customary. Those players have expenses, and they usually get a stipend to cover said expenses, and she received one. It was like a little over $800. I think it was $857 or $27. A little over $800. Well, apparently that's against the rules in Alabama. By God. That makes you a professional. Well, we sent the check back. Oh, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. We've got rules here. And you broke them. You're gone. You're out. They suspended this girl for the season because USA Basketball sent her a check that the family unknowingly did not know that there was a problem, that was against the rules, since it came from USA Basketball.
I wonder if what would have happened had she not cashed the check.
I think it wouldn't have mattered, but these people are such idiotic, it doesn't matter. They're idiots. I think that they seem to be looking for a reason to grandstand here.
Yeah.
They're moronic. There was no intent. It was rectified. And it wasn't the student athlete who did it. But that's who's getting caught in the crosshairs here. And these idiots from Alabama, well, they're just idiots. You can't fix stupid. Yeah. You can't fix stupid.
You could try.
They're getting called out on it and being made to look even more idiotic. Because as they keep standing on the ground, stomping their feet and holding their breath, saying this is right and this is how we're going to do it. But yet the rest of the country, college coaches, are all weighing in, saying otherwise. And then they may send out another statement yesterday that just made them look even more stupid. They're just dumb.
I'm be interested to see where this thing goes.
Speaking of women's basketball, Terry Morin from Indiana, they are ranked for only the 5th time in school history right now in the AP poll as they stand at, is it 14-1?
I think so, yep.
Recently knocked off Michigan State, number 15 in the country. Their only loss to Grambling, of all people. Just that was a head scratcher.
Just gotta laugh.
I'd like to see him being 15-0 would be a lot better. But very, very, very good season start for the Hoosiers. They're 2-0 in the Big Ten. They play again now on Thursday, and they got to go on the road to Ohio State. That's going to be a tough one, of course. But Terry Morin was on the radio last night. Let's hear what she has to say about how her season's going.
Well, we were off to a really good start, and yesterday was, I thought, just a great game, and really want to thank our fans. The 6,000 plus that we had in the hall, like I said, was very much reminiscent of our WNIT run, and just the energy that we had and the enthusiasm, and our kids sense that and they feel it. And we needed every ounce of the energy that was in that building, because what a great Michigan State team that came in. And I thought it was just a really good, it was like a heavyweight, punching our fight, that two teams that were taking their best punches at each other. And Jalen Penn had another big shot for us that gave us a little bit of not a whole lot of breathing room, but a little bit of breathing room that we had to go down and get a big stop, which we did. But I just thought it was just a great game if you were a fan, if you were a spectator.
Jalen Penn had that.
They have and it's very funny this year, this team, they go from having the two best players in the program's history, Tyra Buss, Amanda Cahill, who led them last year, to the NIT championship. They are much better as a team without them than they were with them.
Yeah, crazy, huh?
And, yeah, it is kind of crazy because Tyra Buss is their all-time points leader. But it got me to thinking, as great as Tyra is, are they better? They're better as a team, I think, because these other players have been allowed to flourish because they're not counting on one person to do everything. They're not standing around waiting for that person to do it. And it has obviously made this an unbelievable, much better team. I mean, they've got, and they're young. That Bindu Yaney, she's a sophomore.
Gracie Berger, freshman.
Grace Berger's a freshman. Alexa Golby is another freshman. You got Royster's a senior, but they've got Jalen Penn's a sophomore. I mean, they've got some good young talent. They got a great mix.
Well, that's the thing about this team. I think overall this team probably has more spread out talent, whereas Amanda Cahill and Tyra Buss were more talent at the top of the roster. This one's pretty spread out in terms of what each lady can do on the floor. I mean, it's been fun to watch. I've only got to watch them once, but pretty fun team.
Yeah, they're having a great year. We congratulate them and hope it continues as they take on Ohio State on Thursday. So best of luck to them. The Indiana Hoosiers are off this week on the men's side as they prepare to take on the Maryland Terrapins on Friday. We'll talk about that a lot more with Chronic Hoosier coming up. Mike Schumann as well. Stay tuned. Indiana Sports Beat back right after this. This is Jim Coyle. When I'm not on the road covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 on the northeast side of I-65 at Veterans Parkway in Clarksville. Bring the team in for that post-win meal in the family dining area or just meet friends for a happy hour. Bubba's has bold burgers, hand-tossed pizzas, mouth-watering wings, and a list of select local craft brewers for the coldest beer in town. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Burgers, pizza, beer.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
If you're a homeowner and have storm damage to your roof, you want a hometown contractor you can count on and trust. Brooks Roofing of New Albany has been doing quality work since 2006. Check out their work for yourself at brooksroofingin.com. No job is too big or too small, commercial or residential. Brooks Roofing is probably working in your neighborhood right now. Visit brooksroofingin.com or call 812-868-ROOF. That's 812-868-ROOF. Brooks Roofing, the protection you need when nature strikes.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
If you want to get your day off to a good start, then stop at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. While you're filling your gas tank, you could fill your own tank with a hot breakfast or try one of Billy Joe's daily lunch special. Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart opens at 5 a.m. and everything is made fresh daily. And if you bring your own mug, coffee is only 50 cents. And Billy Joe's also has free air. The best place to start your day is at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs.
If you want the most comprehensive coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers, you need Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. Join us each Monday through Friday for interviews with the players and playmakers. Weekly guests like Don Fisher, Terry Hutchins, and Chronic Hoosier. We've got live reports from each game. No one gives you better coverage of Indiana athletics. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle is available on iTunes and Google Play. You can follow us on Facebook or at indianasportsbeat.com. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. We don't miss a beat. Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry.
All my friends know the low rider.
Oh, it's so good to hear that. It's been a while. You know that means Chronic Hoosiers along for the ride. How is it, my brother?
Man, it feels like we ain't talked in a year.
I swear it's been too long. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, all of that good stuff to you and your family.
Appreciate it. Same to you, good sir.
Thank you, sir. Lots going on in the world of the Hoosier Nation. Women having a fine time at it. One loss on the season, unbelievably to Grambling of all people, but just recently knock off number 15 Michigan State and hitting the top 25 for the first time this season, fifth time in school history.
Coach Morin's got those girls cooking right now. They've got an absolute unit put together. Excited to see where this season goes for IU. Obviously, the rankings are important. I think from a symbolic standpoint, you can certainly make case they deserve to be ranked now for several weeks after receiving votes. I think one of the challenges is when you look at the women's game compared to the men's. These are polls voted on by writers. There's not a lot of exposure to the women's game. Very rarely do you see them on national television. At best, you're going to catch them on localized networks like the Big Ten, subscription-based services, where the vast majority of the voting population is not watching these games. They're maybe looking at box scores. For those that are paying attention, they've clearly had a case to be ranked for some time now. So glad to see that finally come to fruition at the end of the day, though, too. I think the goal is not to be ranked in January for Coach Morin. Rather, it's to continue to stake their claim for an NC2A bid and just see how far these guys can go.
Absolutely. Coach Dave texted in because I mentioned that unbelievably, after having the two best players in the program's history at the same time, Amanda Cahill and Tyra Buss last year, that this team has actually gotten better without them, which that's not because they weren't great, but I was wondering if it's been allowed to allow some of these other players flourish. And Coach Dave texted in that you have to remember that last year Allie Patberg and Bree Wise were sitting out as transfers, and they've stepped in right in to fill those gaps. It would have been amazing to see them all play together. My God, how good would they have been?
I can't even fathom. It just would have been unreal. Timing obviously didn't work out for Coach Morin as far as putting together that super team. But what I think it did is you look at Buss and Cahill and the foundation they laid for the program, the standard that they set. And that Coach Morin's established since she's taken over here. There's big things in store for this team for a long time, not the least of which when you see Indiana attracting the top talent from the home state, from the region. This is on par with what the men's goal's always been, and now you see the women starting to actualize it. And with the depth of talent that we have, both locally and regionally, bright things in store for the program if they can keep this going, and it certainly doesn't show any signs of abating anytime soon.
Absolutely. On the men's side, things are going pretty well. Unfortunately, not a good result over the weekend in Ann Arbor, but somewhat to be expected. But then still, again, they're dealing with the same issues, and it's been everyone talking about getting off to this horrifically bad start. Even Archie addressed it last night on his show, and he talked about basically doing some things different. And it almost sounded like that he feels like they need to almost go to set plays to start the game just to make sure that we're doing what we want to be doing here and imposing ourselves the way we want to and not going out there kind of haphazardly as they have been.
Yeah, I am at a loss right now to understand exactly what's going on with this team start. The best analogy I can come up with is whatever is causing the free throw issues with this team, which is slightly abated as well. I cannot for the life of me understand it, what it is about that second media timeout that wakes these boys up and really gets them in gear and ready to play basketball. And I think it's comprehensive, whatever the issue is, because you're seeing it affecting them on both sides of the floor right now. Their inability to get anything going on offense, their inability to get stops. They just look like a completely different team until about that 8-10 minute mark, and it's just, I'm dumbfounded by it. I absolutely don't understand. I was going back looking at the box score play-by-play. Indiana outplayed Michigan after the 7-minute mark in the first half. Well, 13-minute mark rather in the first half. And that even includes where they stretched the lead from 13 up to, I believe, 19 at one point early there in the first. Whatever it is, it's systemic to a man, and it's been persistent throughout the season. With the exception of but a few games, this has been something that's plagued them year-round. I don't know what it is, but I think, like the free throws, there's something in this team's psyche, there's something in their mentality that they're tripping on early on. You see them tripping at the free throw line, you see them tripping across the floor to start the games. And I'm certainly not a sports psychologist, but I'd love to hear one's opinion on it, because this is something Archie's absolutely going to have to figure out. When you look at the Big Ten schedule ahead for Indiana, obviously playing Michigan at Chrysler, number 2 team in the nation, one of the best defending teams in the country. As we saw, they can certainly pour it on offensively. Well, we only get them one other time, and that's going to be back at Assembly Hall. You got 17 games remaining, all but 2 of which Pomeroy is projecting to be within 2 possessions. So when you look at the margin of error for a team that just struggles so mightily to get out of the gates, that could be foreboding for Indiana's chances. I think most people would still agree Indiana should be playing somewhere for the top of the league. Obviously, it appears that Michigan State are a class of league, just a couple games into the conference schedule. But if Indiana's really going to secure a strong seed line, if Indiana's going to put themselves in a position to compete for the conference title in the back half, they're going to have to figure this out. They're going to have to figure it out soon, because with so many good teams in this league and so many incredibly tight games ahead, they're just not going to have the ability to just waste away the first 8 minutes and expect to just be able to turn it on and pull even when winning time comes late.
Yeah, it's almost reminiscent a little of AAU-type basketball, which I'm not saying that that's what they're playing. It's just that the start, it's like, I don't get it either. I don't understand how you don't come out of the locker room fired up, ready to go, and especially in a league game against the number 2 team in the country. But I know Archie is working on getting that rectified, and I could tell he was angry after that game in the press conference. He was pissed off. I could tell. He just, in the way he answered every question, he was pissed off. He's not happy. He's not happy with the team right now, and I think he's going to make some changes. I think he's going to get on their ass, basically. They've got to get a little fired up. They've got to take it upon themselves to come out and want to play from the first bell.
Yeah, and I've had a couple of some of my basketball friends in coaching. They commented over the last several games how tight Indiana starts the games. They're not playing very loose. The ball's not moving very freely. A lot of uncharacteristic mistakes on offense. Defensively, it's almost like they're playing the opposite, like they're too loose on defense to start. And it's the weirdest combination when you see them going out there from one end of the floor to the other to start the game. And I'm not exactly sure what's causing it. And that's where you run into this catch-22. If it's tight on offense and these guys are on edge because they know they're not doing what the coach wants, who knows what buttons Archie's going to have to push in order to rectify these things. But I think the most problematic thing is when you look at their inability to defend early on in a road environment like that. And that's the one thing for a team that's defensively minded as Indiana that's got to translate across all courts. No matter where they're playing, they've got to be able to come out and play their brand of defense. And that's not something we saw anywhere close to at Michigan. And for that matter, we've seen that in the 3 road losses so far. If there's one common theme, the defense just wasn't up to par to begin the game to really set the tone. Because no matter whether the offense is really firing all cylinders early on, the defense is going to be what has to keep them in the game. And obviously in Michigan, the way they defended to start the game, they never really threatened. Even once they kind of got, quote-unquote, back in it, they never really threatened, even though the score got within single digits a couple times. And that's solely attributable to that opening, 2 media timeout periods up front. Once that had concluded, the defense had basically conceded the game for Indiana.
Yeah, and I also think that the point guard is critical to this. Not having Rob Phinisee to run this offense, to keep it running smoothly, I think has been very noticeable here of late. They've been kind of jagged, for lack of a better word, and I think getting him back, and I think that he'll play Friday, hopefully. And I think that's going to help a lot, settle them down a little bit. But even when he was in there, they still weren't starting great. But I think part of that is him still growing into that role. He's going to have to become a leader, a de facto leader on that court. Someone has really got, I know they have Juwan Morgan and Romeo, but that's their 2 leading scorers. I don't know that they're really leading this team on the floor, and I think that you need a floor general to do that. And I hope that Phinisee can develop into that.
No, questionably, and I think it actually exemplifies a couple glaring deficiencies with this team. Leadership in handling the ball, bringing the ball up court. Obviously, Rob's absence has been sorely missed at the point guard spot. But I think what also has been exposed in this period where he's sitting down is just how few shooters this team has. How many guys it can rely on, and not even just rely on. How many guys out there have the confidence to take that open shot? There were a number of periods, particularly when Romeo and Juwan were saddled early with foul trouble, where you saw the ball moving around and guys just passing up wide open shots. I think I can recall at least 5 instances where it swung out to Zach, in between the wing and the high elbow, and he barely even looked at the goal before he just swung it, or, continued to keep the ball swinging. It cannot. You cannot have guys out there who, when given a wide open shot, considering what Michigan's doing to you everywhere else on defense, not even attempt it. And in that regard, I think it's probably safe to say Rob's probably this team's second best deep option right now on any given night. I know Juwan's trying to assert himself with the 3-point shot, but Rob is probably Archie's second best option, short of Romeo, when that ball comes to him in those spots to take it. And to see guys who are not only unable but unwilling to even attempt it. I mean, Evan Fitzner chucked up a couple. He had one missed 3-point attempt in his 10 minutes of play. That was supposed to be his role on this team. And when he's not capable, not willing to fill that role, that's extremely problematic for Archie. And that's also an issue that could heighten, could intensify, or at least exacerbate here in the event that Romeo does decide to declare at the end of this season. There's going to have to be some guys step up. He's going to need to find some guys that have the confidence in their shot and the ability to knock it down. The other thing I want to add there, too, is talking about leadership. Looking at Juwan and his early foul troubles, this is a guy who's going to go down as probably one of the all-time greats in Indiana history. His records are going to bear it out true by the end of the season. You cannot lead this team, and this team needs his leadership so incredibly bad. by sitting on the bench. He's got to figure out a way to stay on the floor. I believe he comes out there and he's trying to set the tone for the rest of the team. He's trying to send messages to the opponents that, he's a grown-ass man and he's here to play. But some of the silly fouls that are taking him off the floor right now, we've seen it happen too many times. If he's truly going to lead this team, he's going to have to find a way to stay on the floor.
Absolutely. And then players like Evan Fitzner, who was hopefully going to be a little answer to some outside shooting woes, just hasn't developed. Indiana's devoid of outside shooting, which is not a huge secret, but I thought that he was going to provide some help in that regard, and he just doesn't seem to be looking for his shot anymore, even when he's in there.
No, not at all. And, I absolutely love the kid's game, but there's certainly a case to be made here, too, that Al Durham's going to have to find a more assertive role in this offense, to get 32 minutes and only take 5 field goals, only get to the line twice. Al does a lot of things for this team defensively. He's generally pretty solid with the ball. He's making some really strong decisions for a player of his age, thrust him in the position that he is. But if you're going to be drawing that many minutes on this team, especially in those windows when your stars are sitting, he's got to find a way to assert himself more in the game. And I think this is probably a product of the injury situation as well, at least in some part. When you've got so many pieces that have been removed for so long, guys are constantly having to be put out of position, having to assume new roles, both offensively and defensively. And I think there's a lot there, too, as well, what's being asked of these guys defensively, and perhaps what that forces them to sacrifice on the offensive end, even if it's just from an energy reserve standpoint. They're going to have to figure it out, and they're going to have to figure it out soon, because it's not going to let up any time between now and the end of the season. I mean, we only get Rutgers a couple times. We got Illinois one additional time. Other than that, there's no free passes for these guys anymore. January is truly a time for these guys to have to grow up and gel to whatever it is their potential is going to be. It's time to start striving towards it, because once February comes, it's going to be pretty tough. I mean, obviously, Indiana's schedule lets up just a little bit as far as the home and away. Not that the level of competition drops particularly, but it's going to be time to figure out who's doing what and how to do it as best they can. I still, by all means, think an NCAA bid is soundly in their pocket at this point, but there's nothing guaranteed. Like I said, you got 17 games left. It's time to stake your claim and just see how high up the seed line they can go.
Absolutely, because their next test is on the road again at a formidable opponent as they take on the Maryland Terrapins Friday. And Maryland's a very good team. They're not ranked right now. They should be. They're a top 25 team. They're just one of the Big Ten's gauntlet of teams that are really top 25 teams. 10 teams, 9 teams from the Big Ten receiving votes in this week's AP Top 25 poll. Not all 9 are in the top 25, obviously, but because they're that churn at the bottom. But there are 5. How many, Justin? Was it 5 or 6?
6, I believe.
6 consecutive teams in the receiving votes category in the poll this week. 6. That's crazy.
No, it's bonkers. This is, obviously Michigan's, like we said, Michigan State's clearly class of the league. But when you look at the depth in the middle of this league, this is probably as strong as we've seen the Big Ten. Perhaps ever, honestly. I'd love to do a deep dive statistically and just see last time the conference was this strong top to bottom. It's brutal, man. This is absolutely it's the best basketball conference in the country right now. A lot of tough environments to play in, Maryland not the least of which, on a Friday night here. It's going to be a big test for Indiana. You'd certainly hate to see them slip to 1-4 on the road on the season. They've got the experience now. They've just got to capitalize on it, learn from the lessons past, and forge your way forward, because we still got quite a few road games to go. You'd love to see them undefeated at home, but if you're going to have a chance to compete in this league, you're going to have to steal some in other guys' gyms.
Absolutely. Sounds great. Chronic, thank you so much. It was great to hear from you again. Look forward to it. Hopefully it won't be so long next time.
Hey, glad to be back. Ready to see what the new year has in store for us, fellas. Looking forward to it.
Thank you, sir. Chronic Hoosier. We appreciate it, brother. Look forward to it. And you got a new episode of Banners yet? We already lost him. Oh, well. Look for Mind Your Banners with Chronic Hoosier and Zach Osterman is the way. But thanks a lot for having him along. We've got more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat. Mike Schumann joins us next. Stay tuned. We're back right after this.
Smoking in the boys' room.
This is Jim Coyle. When I'm not on the road covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 on the northeast side of I-65 at Veterans Parkway in Clarksville. Bring the team in for that post-win meal in the family dining area or just meet friends for a happy hour. Bubba's has bold burgers, hand-tossed pizzas, mouth-watering wings, and a list of select local craft brewers for the coldest beer in town. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Burgers, pizza, beer.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
If you're a homeowner and have storm damage to your roof, you want a hometown contractor you can count on and trust. Brooks Roofing of New Albany has been doing quality work since 2006. Check out their work for yourself at brooksroofingin.com. No job is too big or too small, commercial or residential. Brooks Roofing is probably working in your neighborhood right now. Visit brooksroofingin.com or call 812-868-ROOF. That's 812-868-ROOF. Brooks Roofing, the protection you need when nature strikes.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, you want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
If you want to get your day off to a good start, then stop at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. While you're filling your gas tank, you could fill your own tank with a hot breakfast or try one of Billy Joe's daily lunch special. Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart opens at 5 a.m. and everything is made fresh daily. And if you bring your own mug, coffee is only 50 cents. And Billy Joe's also has free air. The best place to start your day is at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs.
If you want the most comprehensive coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers, you need Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. Join us each Monday through Friday for interviews with the players and playmakers. Weekly guests like Don Fisher, Terry Hutchins, and Chronic Hoosier. We've got live reports from each game. No one gives you better coverage of Indiana athletics. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle is available on iTunes and Google Play. You can follow us on Facebook or at indianasportsbeat.com. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. We don't miss a beat. Today's guest is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville with hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer. Pizza, burgers, beer. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat. Appreciate you joining us today. Jim Coyle sitting in with you. Got Mike Schumann from the Daily Hoosier with us now. Mike, how are you?
Good, Jim. Happy New Year.
Happy? That's right. Another one. We just got off with Chronic Hoosier. We got been off so long, I forgot who has been on and who hasn't been on. That's right. Been a while. So welcome back to the show. Lots going on. Welcome back to the sports world. The national championship last night. How about that game? Did you get a chance to check out Alabama getting rolled?
I did. I was stunned. I kept I don't know if any other IU fans were doing this, but I kept trying to trick myself into thinking that the Crimson team was IU in a national championship game. But as the game wore on, I'm like, I don't think I want to be IU in this game.
Yeah, that's sad. That's just sad, though. No, I'm kidding.
It's the best we got right now, man.
Well, and the thing is, the big deal right now is waiting to hear who's going to be the next offensive coordinator.
Yep.
Looking so forward to this, and I know that interviews have taken place. I know that they're going outside for this hire. This is going to be an outside hire. This is going to be somebody that has been an offensive coordinator before. Those are some of the parameters that Coach Allen has set up, and I think that he is serious about trying to make a very, very good hire here, not just making a hire as they do so many times, kind of like they did with the defensive coordinator side, but that will not be the case on the other side of the ball.
Yeah, no, I think the interesting thing about this hire for Allen is that he's kind of not just hiring for that job, he's kind of hiring for his own job in a lot of respects, because if it doesn't go well, he's going into his third year here. I think the Fred Glass and the school will be patient because it's just a different construct and a different timeline with IU football than in other programs. But by the same token, year 3 is generally thought to be a pretty big year when you kind of the roster starts to be made up of more your guys than the prior staff's guys, and the expectations start to change a little bit. So hiring the right guy now, having a couple of years with that right guy in the system could very well be make or break for Allen.
Oh, I agree wholeheartedly. This is very key to his very being going forward, because he's had the 2 years that have not been 2 great years, as a matter of fact, both minus bowl games, 5 and 7 seasons, which I think they underperformed in both of those seasons. But you got to give them credit on the other side. They're recruiting like crazy men. They are bringing in talent like Indiana has never seen before. And so it's going to be interesting to see what they can do with that talent. But, again, that's why it's so critical who they hire for offensive coordinator, with Jack Tuttle coming in and with Michael Penix available and this running back room they're going to have. It's critical who this offensive coordinator is.
Yeah, the recruiting talent's amazing, and probably even better than that is the transfer talent, right? You mentioned Tuttle, and I don't know if a lot of people know, but there's a wide receiver that played for Florida that is supposed to transfer to Indiana. We don't know that officially, but it looks like that's going to happen. His name's Daquan Green, and he was a 4-star out of college, and was good enough to play at the University of Florida. So, add in him and Tuttle to the other 4 stars in the freshman portion of the recruiting class, and the infusion of talent is enough that Indiana should be getting to the point where they can be reasonably expected to improve. Coaching can only do so much, and Allen said this recently as well. You actually have to have the people to execute the schemes, at a high level. So, you always have to go back to the schedule when you're talking about Indiana, and next year's particularly ugly because of the Big Ten West games that they play. They have to go to Nebraska, who's going to be a better team almost certainly under Frost's second year. They have to go to Purdue. So, and then of course they have to play the Big Ten East gauntlet. So it's going to be particularly challenging with that slate of games. And there's 6 games right there that, you don't expect to win. So you pretty much have to be perfect on everything else. So it's going to be a rough schedule, but it's at the same token, it's going to be a year that you think things have to get better. You can't have another 5 and 7 season, or the narrative's already established. It can't get more of the same or worse.
Yeah, there hasn't been any names leak out. There's been names named by people like me, but there's been no names leak out. Matt Canada is someone I've talked about. It's because I know he's available, number one. But number two, he had a hell of a year last year at Maryland. I think he did a phenomenal job. I mean, the circumstances he was under, in what they were going through, and then to have the coach reinstated on one day and then kicked back out another day. And all through all that, he had one of the best running games in the country at Maryland. That says a lot to me.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's two names that I see out there, and again, I'm with you. I haven't heard any leaks, so I don't know if these are even legit. But Canada's one of them that, for just so many reasons, makes a lot of sense from the IU perspective. What I don't know is if it makes sense from his perspective, because of exactly what you said. He did such a good job in such a tough environment that I've got to believe that he is on the radar for a head coaching job. I haven't heard that either. I mean, he's been out there for a while now.
Yeah, but he didn't get the Maryland job. I thought he would get the Maryland job, and then had that 2-point conversion against Ohio State worked, he would be the head coach at Maryland, I think. But having not gotten that, I don't know that he's on docket for at least not a big time head coaching position. So I think he'd probably rather be an OC in the Big Ten than a head coach at, say, East Carolina. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, you hope so. You don't know what's in a guy's heart, but he's clearly an IU guy. He went to IU, coached at IU, from the state of Indiana. Has led great offenses both at IU and elsewhere. So, I mean, everything points to him being a great candidate. I think one thing that a lot of people say, IU's not willing to invest in the football program, and that hiring him would certainly test that, because I think he would be in the upper echelon of what you'd have to pay.
Oh, hell yeah. He made $750,000 last year, so that's $250,000 more than what they were paying either coordinator at Indiana. That's actually more than the head coach gets paid, but the head coach makes more money off of TV shows and radio shows and all that. But from the salary from the school, his salary is $500,000.
Yeah, that's what's interesting about it, is you'd probably have to give Allen a raise just to be kind of commensurate with what a head coach should make relative to an OC. So like I said, that would really test whether or not Glass wants to commit money to the football program, if in fact Canada was interested in the job. The other name that I really am intrigued by out there is the offensive coordinator at North Texas. His name's Graham Harrell. For people that don't know about him, he was an All-American quarterback at Texas Tech in the mid-2000s. He's been the coordinator at North Texas for a couple of years now and has been leading one of the best offenses in the country. He runs that air raid offense that people might be familiar with that Texas Tech ran for years and years. And, beyond just his chops as a play caller, the things that's intriguing about him is just the Texas angle. That's a recruiting hotbed. Indiana already does well in Florida. They already do well in Indiana. To have that Texas angle as well would be kind of the third wheel that could really elevate the program. And so that would be it. I don't know if Canada or Harrell is my one or two, but those are my top two for sure.
My top two would be Canada and the OC from Central Florida. I think it's Jeff Lebby.
Yep.
Oh, man. This dude, you talk about they've done it. Not only have they done it offensively, they've done it with two quarterbacks. They had their quarterback go down. When they run their backup in. They score 56 points in the conference championship game this year. And then they get within a score of LSU. This is what their backup quarterback people are forgetting. For 2 years, they've just been running rampant over people. I think that I'd love, if it's not going to be, I would be happy with either one of those two, to be honest with you.
Yeah, same here. He was on my list of like 6 or 7 candidates as well for all the reasons you just said. I think the results at Central Florida speak for themselves. I mean, each year you look at the record and you think, how in the hell did they do that? But they did it, and he's a big reason why.
Yeah, I think that an offensive coordinator coming in here is going to have to. You got to adhere to some of the Big Ten standards, but I think if you're going to be in Indiana, you got to do some things just a little different, outside of the box, to win. You're not going to out Ohio State. You're not going to out Michigan. You're not going to out Penn State. These guys are what they are. The programs are what they are. I think that you can compete with them, but I think that you got to sometimes just do things outside of the box. And Indiana's not always, they've never been very good at that, I don't think. Now, I think under Kevin Wilson, offensively they were, but they weren't as a whole. defensively. They were as bad defensively as they were good offensively. So to me, it didn't matter. I don't understand why he wasted all that time in those years being not. They were terrible defensively until Tom Allen got here. And now Tom Allen has changed that culture somewhat, but he does not know a lot about all. He's not an offensive guy, and so he needs somebody that he can turn it over to without worry. He did that with DeBoard, but that was a horrific decision because DeBoard was just going through the motions, and it's cost him, and they set him back. But I think if they get somebody in here that is creative, that does think outside of the box, because you've got the talent there, they've got more coming in. And with the defensive culture change, I think they can compete.
Yeah, I've said exactly what you said on multiple occasions. If you're running the offense at Indiana, you can't try to just go mano a mano, stack up the line and hope you're going to ground and pound against Michigan and Ohio State. It's just not going to happen. And DeBoer may have very well been a good offensive coordinator if he had the job at one of those schools, but to try to do what he was doing at Indiana, where the talent gap exists right now, it's just not going to happen. And to me, that's what made Wilson and Canada really before him great offensive coordinators at Indiana. Is, I hate to use the word, but you have to be a little bit gadgety, whether it's, running a lightning fast pace like Wilson did, or running, the pistol, which at the time was pretty innovative with Canada. You've got to do those things. You've got to have something that, levels the playing field a bit. And so that's another thing for me that's intriguing about Harrell at North Texas is just the offense that they run. But wherever they go, I agree 100%. It just cannot be a guy that wants to line it up with a fullback and the power I option, down your throat. It's just not going to happen.
No, and I think, like I said, they've got the talent to do this, and it's whether or not they want to do it. And we'll see if what they can get done and who they bring in and how serious they are about making this a competitive program in the Big Ten.
I agree, man.
Well, Mike, I appreciate you joining us. Look forward to doing it again. Indiana on the road this week at Maryland, and we'll have plenty to talk about. So have a great week. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Have a great one, Jim.
You bet. Check out Mike Schumann at thedailyhoosier.com for complete free content on IU. That's going to wrap up today's show. That was brought to you by Bubba's 33 of Clarksville, Pizza, Burgers, and Beer. I'm jonesing it already. They had a special thing going on last night, so didn't get to watch the national championship game there. But I'll be there watching the game Friday night, the IU game. So we'll be back there. Tomorrow on the program, we're going to talk with Matt Weaver from Peaks.com. We'll get a little more in-depth on this OC thing, see what's happening there. Also, special guest, former IU great Colin Hartman, Indiana basketball player, on the program tomorrow. So look forward to that. Make sure you're along for that, and be here to have all your questions ready to go. So look forward to talking to both those guys, especially find out where we are in this hunt for the offensive coordinator for Indiana. I think that something could – the thing is, it takes a while for Indiana to get permission to make announcements. They got to run it through all their legal, their this and that, and blah, blah, blah. It takes a while. But most of the time what happens is it starts to leak out. I wouldn't be surprised if by Monday things are leaking out, if not beforehand.
I said it yesterday, so I'm going to stick with it. I think it happens this week.
I'm not, and I don't think that you may be right. I'm being a little conservative. I know that there have been a round of interviews. People have interviewed.
If it's not named by Monday, are you concerned?
Concerned? No. Well, yeah, because it's time. If you're not done there, then that means you're kind of behind. Because other people are making moves as well. The coaches' convention that goes on in conjunction right now with the national championship and all of that. There's just a lot of – all the bowl games are over. You had some people that had a lot of commitments and things of that nature that kept them from accepting the job or what have you. But going forward, we'll certainly find out. But I think it's very, very close. And I think we'll learn a lot more tomorrow talking to Matt Weaver. He's always – up on it. So look forward to talking to him. I'm hopeful that I think it may be Matt Canada, but who knows? We'll certainly find out. Like I said, Colin Hartman on the show tomorrow for it as well. So look forward to that. We look forward to being with you. For Justin Kalen, this is Jim Coyle, and I will see you on the radio.